Welcome to the first episode of the 5, where we discuss 5 actionable tips that you guys can implement today to improve your revenue, your productivity, and your life. Why is this worth listening to? Matt and I both make what most would consider an uncommon amount of money on the internet, I would hope. And we started this podcast because we noticed that a lot of the content out there these days is more about grand ideas and big concepts than about immediately actionable help for people that want to achieve profit numbers like ours or higher. So the idea behind our podcast is it's going to be different. It's going to be totally practical. It's going to be actionable, and ultimately it's going to be real. We're going to share the raw, unfiltered things that we are doing right now to improve our stations in life and grow our business. In terms of what to expect, we're going to be talking about a few things, the ways that we work, the strategies that we are trying in our companies, and then some immediately actionable things that we have done in the last week to improve our revenues. So yeah, we're both very transparent people. If you guys follow either of us on YouTube or watch our content, you probably know that already. What you see is what you guys are going to get. Well, want to start us off, big man?
Yeah, we're just going to get right into it. I could do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so one thing that's helped me, especially in 2025, is every time I've been working in an hour sprints with a timer. And at the end, I've been sending a form, just standard Google form, the date and the hour, like January 23rd. This is hour 9 for me today as we're recording this. Now, what I did, my focus level, how we could get that focus level up next time, and then my top 5 goals for 2025. So this to me is like natural adderall. People take a bunch of these drugs, do a bunch of these hacks, but I've told you about this. I tell everybody about this. It's standard operating procedure in everything that I'm a part of. And it really is a huge difference. When you have a day, I want to work for 10 hours. That sounds kind of unfeasible, but when you want to work for 1 hour 10 times, it becomes a lot easier. So I learned about this the first time when I was 22 years old, maybe 21 years old, with my first mentor we started a marketing company together. He used to be the COO of one of the biggest marketing or advertising agencies in the world. And this is how we would work. And, I thought it was stupid at the time because I was 21 and 22 and didn't really know how to work at all.
Right.
And then I thought writing it down was even stupider. Like, what's the point of that? We should just work in 10 hours per day or 12 hours per day or whatever it is. And I was at his house one day, which is a big house. It's people who aren't from where Nick and I are from won't know where it is, but it's in Prudence, which is like south of where we live. It's like where all the very rich people live. And he had this big like wall. Like if you imagine me, like, those in movies when they just have a big wall, like a big bookshelf that's like their whole office.
Yeah.
And I was like whining to him about something because I was like 21. And probably about this.
But our 21-year-old viewers, Matt.
Yeah, 21-year-old. They don't even know. But when you're our age, you're pushing 30, you'll know. So he had all these books and bookshelves and all these like black books, like or black spine and like the cover and stuff. And then he's like, "Go get me that book." And like, I was like, "Which book?" And he's like, "It doesn't even matter." And I'm like, "Okay, that sounds pretty strange, all right?" So I get one and then I bring it to him and he's like, "Open it." So I open it and I can't remember what year it was. It was either 1989 or 1999. And it was like him writing down hour by hour what he was doing that day. So he was doing this for like 40 plus years at this like time, because I was 21. He's got to be like in his 40s or in his 60s rather, because he's about 10 years older than my dad, and my dad's 30 some years older than me. So like he's been writing down hour by hour, and I checked like 5 different of these journals that he had, and they all had random like what he was doing in different years. Wow. And it was like I don't even know. There's like 100, maybe more of these journals, probably more. And he's like, "We just do this because that's how you get work done." And I was like, "Sounds good, big man. Sounds good, big man." I'm probably like exaggerating quite a bit on like how much I was whining to him, because I really didn't say really shit to him about anything. Right. Like, I feel like he's like, "No, I'm like, sounds good to me." But, I gave him like, there was giving someone negative attitude. Like that's basically what I was like. anything I want to do, he said something else. No.
Yeah.
So basically, in 2025, like 10 forms is the standard. If you want to work 12 hours or 14 hours per day, like that's what most people do if they're, don't have kids and stuff and they're trying to like get up there. But I feel like 10 forms per day, like 10 real hours, is going to equal out to like 12 or 14 hours because you got other crap that you have to do. So my standard in 2025 is 10 forms per day, Monday to Saturday. We're going to take off, Sundays type thing.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Why aren't you doing Sundays, if I might ask?
Oh, we got to have one day off a week.
One day.
We got to observe the Sabbath,
Of course.
of course.
Well, yeah,
Well,
like not
yeah,
non-facetiously. I do think that having some time off is, very much required.
yeah, by like Saturday or even by Friday, I'm just like, okay, it's time to like stop this. But it does get easier the more you do it. And I think you've been doing it recently too.
I think your point
So,
about the natural adderall was pretty on point. Like,
yeah.
it does become addictive after a while to
Yeah.
like click that button and have the thing go out.
I know.
But you
Oh my
do
God.
something
the
different
form.
with that. You do something different with that too, right? Like you don't just fill out the form, but you send it to people.
Yeah. So you could do it two ways. Like it's a Google form. Anyone can just access a Google form. But there's a Google form extensions. If no one's more surprised than me, but there is these Google form extensions. So you can pay for one of these. It's like $25 or $40 a year or something. And you can like submit it. Because I was originally not sticking to this very well and I wanted some accountability. So I didn't come across this. I was searching for this and then I just Google form notifications or something and then it popped across. And then, so I send it to a lot of people. So I send it to you, our group chat, my mom, my dad, and my girlfriend. So every time like I do a bunch of work, everybody gets a notification. It's good though.
Damn,
It's good.
man. Dude,
And
the
then
parents
like,
especially. Oof,
yeah,
I
my,
don't
my
think I have
mom's
to do that.
my mom's kind of honest. She's like, I see you're not working very hard today. If I'm like, it's like noon, and I've got like 2 forms done. I'm like, are you not working again? She's just like, I can like feel like the tone of voice through the phone,
Yeah.
even though it's text message. Oh, just you're not really working. So
Did you
yeah,
say, sorry to cut you off. Did you say that you wrote down your goals in the form as well?
yeah. So what I did, the date, and then I put the goals. Repetition, like Napoleon Hill, auto suggestion, and it's good. I feel like like if you write down your goals every day, you kind of forget a little bit sometimes. At least I do. I'm like, what are my goals again?
Yeah.
But and then I've narrowed it down to 5. I'd be happy with these 5 goals in 2025. Basically, my goals are 100 members of my mastermind, 400K MRR. Kind of like consider that one goal. Then I want to get down to 12% body fat. I want to run a 10K, which is like 6.13 miles or something, in 60 minutes. Should be good for me. I don't know, like for a runner, like professional, probably not very good, but that'd be really good for me. I want to get 100K YouTube subscribers, and then I want to get engaged. So those are my 5 goals. And I feel like in the past I've written down like 20 goals, and it's just kind of, you're just like putting nonsense on there after a while. 5 would be good. We can't get greedy here. You have a long life ahead of you. So
I like that these are in different areas of your life. Like the goal about getting engaged is pretty firmly in relationships, right? The 400Ks in career, and the 10K in or 6.13 miles for our freedom unit loving friends is for health.
I just wanted to run 5Ks to join like my friend's run club because I get left out because I can't run 5K.
That's depressing, man.
But like you get used to it. I've been doing it 3 times a week with the Coach to 5K app that you told me about. So
Absolutely. Am I going to get an
Yeah.
invite to this run club?
Yeah, you could. It's kind of
All
cold
right.
outside right now, but
That sounds good.
that's a great app. This Coach to 5K app, if you don't know what it is, it's like just like taking it gradually from like you're just a fatty on the couch to you're being able to run 5K in like 9 weeks. And you just follow along to the app. I
Yeah.
always listen to the same couple of YouTubers that I won't say, just like expand that knowledge, education content, rip off all of their ideas, just say they're my own. And I kind of like emotionally attached to them now. It sounds kind of like sus, but watch them every day.
Yeah.
And they're like not big YouTubers either. They're like, I think like 20K subscribers or less. They're not like famous. So it's actually like they're with me,
Right.
Not
Yeah.
just
They're
like
kind of
Alex
at your level.
Hermosi
Like
just
the
talking at me.
20K or less level,
Yeah.
to be clear. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I like them a
Cool.
lot.
Sweet.
So what about you? What have you been doing these days?
Yeah. Okay, my turn. Let's cover some actionables. First of all, anyway, I just wanted to like recap that first actionable of the entire podcast series as pretty solid.
Yeah.
I've started using these work forms myself. And just for the benefit of the people that are watching, I send them to Matt and I send them to a group chat. I don't send them to my mom or my dad. Not that hardcore. But I found like a massive difference in my productivity because it's not just me that I'm responsible for, that I am accountable to at the end of the day anymore. Now it's more than me. It's, my family, friends, relationships, that sort of thing. So that actually
Mhm.
feeds into my actionable, which is something that I started doing pretty recently. I won't say that it was inspired by your work forms, but definitely went hand in hand with it, which is where if you're putting something off, I've started just telling 5 people that are close to me that I'm going to do it today. That makes me substantially more likely to follow through with the thing that I say that I'm going to do. So your work form is kind of like, a post thing where it's like, oh, I've done the work and I'm kind of showing it off. This is more like a pre thing. You're like pre-committing, essentially. Um, I'll give you an example from my own life. I've been putting off this content that I've known that I should be creating for a while. It's content about N8N, which is like a no-code automation platform that's blowing up right now. It's very popular. And it's an insane niche. I mean, there are a lot of people that started posting N8N content, like a month or two ago, and they already have 5, 10, 15K subscribers. So I've just been sitting on my hands about it because I'm not I'm not an expert with the platform. Nowhere near as good as I am at, make.com, for instance. And so I'm sort of learning as I go along and rebuilding my systems and stuff like that. But it'd been so long and I'd just been like dragging my feet for, the better part of the last 2 months on it that I finally got to a point where I was like, I really got to fucking do this. So last week on Tuesday, I went through my phone and then I just texted 5 people that are close to me and said, hey, I'm going to start my N8N course immediately. I'm going to record my first video today. And then because I told all of these people that I was going to do the thing, I would have felt immense social shame had I not. And then therefore I obviously went out and I did. So I did something I didn't want to just because I felt the shame of, not living up to my promises. Does it sound like rocket science? No, but I don't really think a lot of our actionables are going to sound like rocket science. So I figured I'd share it today.
And that shit got huge views. You got some good views on that, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
My N8N
Well,
content
there
blew
it
the hell
is.
up, man. It's top one. Like it's literally the 2 of my videos that were both to do with N8N and are my top 2 videos ever. So to be clear, like I should have done this forever ago.
Right.
And I've actually started, I went even further. I found myself like putting off the creating of a course. I'm making a big N8N course. And then I was like, crap, like where am I going to start the course? What am I going to do? And then finally I was like, it doesn't matter what I'm going to do. Like I'm really good at explaining things. I obviously understand this platform better than the average person, much so. So I might as well just start somewhere and I'll kind of figure it out later. So I texted you, I texted another 5 or 10 people. I said, I'm going to like record my N8N course today. What did I do later that day? I recorded the N8N course. Why? Because I didn't want one of you assholes being like, so where's that N8N course? And I have it scheduled for today. Um, but yeah, if I think about ways to apply this to your own life, essentially anytime that I'm feeling like I'm putting something off, I will tell somebody, ideally a lot of people, that I'm going to do it. So good example, this might be the gym. If you know that you need to go to the gym, but you're not doing it, do you have any friends at that gym? Just tell them, hey, I'm going to be at the gym tomorrow at 8 a.m. Right? Like the social shame of you not following through on your promise, in addition to the shame that you feel yourself when you don't, commit to something and then fulfill it on your own. Like when you add those 2 up, the social shame tends to be enough to actually push you and make you do something. You can take this further. You can apply it to your business as well. If you guys want to create some sort of product and you have a big social media following. So I don't know if I'd call my social media following big just yet, but I have like 40K subs on YouTube. So I want to create something big and it's a product. Before I have the chance to change my mind, the second I'm like, I know I need to do this, but I'm putting this off, just say, hey, I'm going to create this product, or say, I'm thinking of creating this product, or just do something to put your intention out in the world, because now you'll no longer feel accountable just to yourself. You'll feel accountable to thousands of other people, which are, quite the big motivators. So
Right.
yeah, I think if I could summarize this, it'd just be that shame tends to get quite the bad rap. Like it's a negatively connotated word, like to be ashamed or to feel shameful. These are all bad things, right? And we don't want to feel ashamed because shame is just normally shit. But if you're smart, you can actually use shame as a strategic tool to make yourself get shit done, namely by pre-committing to things and telling a bunch of people that you were going to do the thing.
I see.
All of this just improves the likelihood that you actually accomplish your goals and your tasks and get them done. And it's what I'm doing right now.
I see. So how did you get good enough at N8N to make a course if you didn't know it as well?
Well, like I'm pretty good at N8N, I would say, but I'm nowhere near as good as I am at Make. I would say my Make.com skills are probably like top 0.01% in the world or something. I'm probably one of like the top dozen experts or something along those lines. So
Right.
the proportion is just like the orders of magnitude. And at N, I'm probably better than like 80, 90% of people at it right now.
Right.
And I'm self-teaching every day kind of as I push through and learn more about the process. The good news is me creating this course is also, in a way, like sort of a self-education method because I'll learn a thing. I'll learn it very well inside and out. And before I have the chance to forget it, I'll teach it. And if I
I
want to like
see.
relearn it, I just go back and I watch my videos. I
Right.
forget who it was that said this. I think it might have been Naval Ravikant, actually. He said, like if you want to learn something really well, write a book on it. Or maybe
Well,
maybe confusing that with James Clear. Who the hell knows? Anyway, sue me.
sounds like something one of those two would say.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of people, because I have these communities that I run, like these beginner ones, and then I have my medium ones, and then I have my masterminds. And, like, so many of them, especially in the beginners, will, like, let's say we're trying to earn 6 figures or something, or let's say they're, whatever. So how long, like, you're blowing up on YouTube and you're posting all these make.com tutorials, right? But like, how long have you been at make.com to learn it? Because a lot of people think they're just going to make or blow up like this, but they didn't spend like 10 years learning how to do it beforehand. So this basically took you 11 years to blow up on YouTube, not
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. It hasn't been a full 11 years with Make.com, but probably like 10 or 11 years working with these sorts of technologies now, basically right out of university.
Oh, really?
Make.com, probably like 6 years, I would say, back when I was
Yeah.
in Matt. Um,
Oh,
Make,
yeah.
or Integra Mac came out in 2013. So I knew a little bit of it and I was doing some dragging and dropping, but it wasn't until my content writing business, One Second Copy, where my partner at the time was big into Make. And I actually knew like a fair amount of computer programming at the time. And I was like building little apps and stuff. But he was like, hey, it's really cool that you can write these long ass scripts and do shit with it. But like, I can't really help with that. So why don't we build our backend on this drag and drop tool? Because that way, like I'll understand it and you'll understand it because it's simple enough that you with your programming knowledge will get it. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. And
Right.
that's when I really took off with Make. And I was spending like, 8 to 10 hours a day for like 3 or 4 years just in
Well,
the
there we
field.
have it. There we have it for my question. Like people ask me that all the time. Like, how do I personally like know how to make the sales process in a good salesperson and know how to generate leads with, cold email and run
Yeah,
profitable ad funnels and like make YouTube videos and train the employees and do operations? Like, well, I've been doing this for 12 years for like 10 forms a day, even though I was doing it back then too. And
yeah,
it's just
true.
like, I don't know,
It's like a
how does
powder keg.
anybody get good? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Tinder. It's like a powder keg. It's like, you put enough on there. When you do finally choose to monetize this or popularize yourself, do something with your brand or whatever, it just blows the hell up because you are now the domain specific expert. You know all this. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Like,
it's years, man, decades even.
how do you get drafted to the NBA when you're 19 because you were playing basketball since you were 2? Like,
Exactly. Really big on the basketball idioms today.
yeah. We'll go with how do you get drafted to the NHL at 18? You've been playing
For
hockey
us
since you were 4.
Northerners, I. Yeah.
Yeah, we're Canadian if you guys don't know that. So,
Well, that's me, Matt. When we get into your actionable, what do you got for us?
the next thing that I have to talk about is just like this is inspired by the last 2 days because I have this mastermind where I work one-on-one with people doing over 500K per year, but most people are in like the 1 to 3 million per year range. There's one person who's actually in the over 100 million a year,
Wow.
and then there's like a couple that are in like the 10 to we'll just say 10 to 15. They're like 11 and 13, I think. I won't say any names so I can actually go into detail, but it's amazing to me like how you get to these big companies, and it's shouldn't be saying it condescendingly because I remember at my agency I was in this spot and I was still doing sales, but so many of them are just doing sales still.
Yeah.
And they've just never really made a sales process. And realistically, like if you're in any service business, because this could be any business, but I've only ever really done service businesses and affiliate businesses. Like the 1 to 3 million a year revenue ranges where like if you are successful, like you get it off the ground, like that's where you typically will stall forever and then like die if you or just quit or just try to sell it or something. So the problem, like the reason for that is like you can't really get past 3 million that much without like a real team. Like in my opinion, you can get to 3 million a year if you're going to submit 10 forms per day and you know what you're doing and you just do it for a while. But after that, like you need a CEO or a COO or a CMO or like a CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer, which is sales, and then you'll probably be one of them, right? And most people just don't have that. They're doing the sales, they're like still overseeing the operations, and they're, still generating the leads. So in particular, the first thing I always recommend, like, let's just say you have to be in operations because you can't just get someone to take it over for you that simply. Like at least at like a COO or a director of operations level. Preferably you would plan ahead, but no one ever plans ahead. One thing that you can really get out of quick, in my opinion, is sales. Like you're taking the sales calls, you basically do the sales. And almost all of these people in my mastermind are still doing like their own sales, funnily enough. The real thing, because we got to get out of sales, right? So like that is something that you could realistically offload within 30 days. And if you're really slammed, you're probably taking 8 calls per day, maybe 10. So there's like a few steps that you have to take in order to do this. So I've heard Alex Hormozy say it recently on one of his videos because I still watch almost all of his videos. I like them. I know some people don't like them. Some people do like him, but I like them all. I think they're really good. Especially his like shorts, like his YouTube shorts I watch a lot. Just because he just like 60 seconds of just a tip.
And he's normally shirtless, muscular, and walking towards the camera.
Yeah,
very interestingly.
Of course, yeah. And I've also heard my first mentor say this, and just makes logical sense. And instead of trying to like even trying to even think about it as you're like training a sales rep, right? Think about it as like you're trying to make it easier to sell, because you could either make it easier to sell and that will impact every sales rep, including you, positively, or you could try the sales rep, like try to get one sales rep perfect or whatever, which who knows, right? So a good sales process like will really, really do that for you. So the first thing I say that you have to do is when you are like first doing this, one thing that I did in the past that just destroyed like so much of my revenue is I hired my first, wasn't my first sales rep ever, but definitely my first in a couple of years. And I just instantly took my 8 to 10 calls per day and put it on his calendar. And then I watched them back because our revenue went down a lot, which is more my fault than his. Like, what is he supposed to really do? But I actually was like so mad and didn't like stupid about it that even though it's more or less my fault, like I said, yeah, like you suck at closing. You can't work here. And both of these things probably were true. Like it's probably part of both, but it definitely did not set him up for success at all. So I tell people like realistically, and I think the term the sales people use, like the sales teachers, is like spillage or spillover maybe. So if you have like, let's say you're expanding and you have 8 calls per day, because that's the most I like to take in a day at least, or so you just get fried. You have 8 calls in your day and you're turning up your ad spend, you're getting 10 or 11 or 12. Like you're still taking the 8 to make that revenue stable and like this client acquisition as it normally is, but your closer is being trained on the new ones, right? So your calendar fills up to 8, and let's say you have 10, those 2 spill over to his calendar or her calendar. I think progressively gets bigger and bigger over time. And that is a great way, in my experience, to like slowly transition from you having an actual, you doing all the sales to someone else. And then when your first closer works out and their calendar's full, then you have the next one and the next one and the next one. And I think that's a very good thing before you even start having a closer. Like you're going to have to, if you don't have a full calendar, like you can't support a closer. They're just, if they're any good, they're just going to leave. right?
Yeah. I feel like so many people, they try and take that step prematurely as well.
Yeah, I have a closer when I have like 6 calls a week or something. Like,
Yeah, totally.
I've done that before, to be
I mean,
honest.
yeah, me too. I feel like we all.
All of these stupid things that I like condescendingly talking about, I've definitely done
I
before.
mean, like that's why you know them, right?
Yeah, that's exactly why I know you can't do that. So, like, how do we set it up? How do we do the process? The first thing, and I stole this from someone in a sales book. I can't remember when it was. It was years ago. It was probably one of the most popular sales books. I can't remember the title, but they basically get on the sales call, like, because you're not the founder. Like, they don't, like, if the founder's in the YouTube, the founder's in the ads, and someone else is on here, like, it's a little bit of a disappointment, even though it's expected, right?
Yes.
And like, the sales rep does not have near the level of clout, the conviction, the competency of the founder. So you have to, in my opinion, how would I explain it? Try to transfer that to the sales rep as much as possible. So instead of saying something stupid, like, oh, like, where'd you calling in from today? Be like, hello, my name is Matt. I have a background in lead generation. I've been working with Nick Saraev closely for 8 years. And I seen you watched his YouTube content because I usually ask, where did you hear about us in the call booking form? And I just want to know, like, what part of that resonated with you the most? Why did you find that interesting? What part of that inspired you to book this call today?
Mm.
And it's a very good first impression that makes you sound a lot better and can kind of like take your credibility a little bit, or transfer it from you to me in this situation, in this example, right? And a good theme in all sales books, as well as all of Alex Hormozy's sales training, because I watch this stuff quite a bit. The one who is asking the questions is in control, right? So you're in control when they do it. You're asking the questions, and then it's a very easy transition into like the typical information gathering questions. Yeah. So I follow this guy on Twitter. His name is Bowtie Sales Guy. He's like, I bought his sales course actually like a few years ago. And like he has, I don't know, remember what he calls it, but these 5 magic questions. And like I, in all of my sales processes and when I'm like training my clients to make a sales process, I always, put these in there. So the first one is like, what are we trying to do today? Or what problem are we trying to solve? Or however they want to say it. Why are we interested in solving that problem? Like, let's get the motivations here. Why is this a problem at all? And that's kind of, I think that's a bit different than why are you interested? Why are you interested is like their motivations. Why is this a problem at all? Kind of gets into the consequences of not solving this, right?
Right.
The fourth one is like, why is now the right time? And then the fifth one is like, why wouldn't you do something else? Like an example, like, why not hire or why not try to learn to do this yourself? And then like a typical answer, because I think by hiring you, Matt, you can help me save time.
Yeah, and
Those
now
are
they're
like,
selling themselves
yeah,
and whatnot.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly my point. It's like, this is good information for you. Like you would probably write this down and take notes of it, but getting them to admit it to themselves out loud, like on the call at the very start, like makes them more interested. And it also like makes it impossible for them to deny later on the call, like the objection, oh, I don't really need this. Oh, you told me that you did. And then you like you don't even hear that kind of crap anymore.
Yeah.
Just because they like have admitted it to themselves.
Right.
And then once you get those questions, then I usually take them through like a little sales presentation. Nothing crazy, just a little highlight reel, 60-second highlight reel, like stuff we've done. Then what do we do? Why do we do it? How do we do it? Examples, like FAQ, offer, pricing, next steps, not too much. And then the rest of the call, the typical objection handling and, going for the close.
And to be clear, you're doing this right now on your mastermind calls and the other calls that you have?
I'm teaching like I'm teaching about 7 people. Like this week is the week that they're implementing the sales process. Right. So I have this big long document. This is kind of like a shorter version of it.
Okay.
And then to me, like I don't like any of those formulas, like those sales formulas. Yeah. I think they just make you sound really stupid. And it's like, in my opinion, it's like the opposite of critical thinking. And if to be good at sales, you're gonna have to have some level of critical thinking.
Yeah.
Basically, in this phase, and you hear this in a lot of sales books. Like, I'm a big reader, if you can't tell. Like, if you can't answer the objection, you can't answer the question, just ask a different question and try to like make them forget about it. Like that's literally unironically good advice. Like,
Yeah, no,
you're
I would
stumped.
agree.
Like, you ask me something like, does your mastermind have this? Well, like, well, why is that important to you? And then they're going to tell you, and then like, just hopefully they forget. And it's very, very effective, right?
You know, Matt, I don't know if I ever
Yeah.
told you this, but the way that we met, I tried to sell Matt closed.io services. I pretended to be a closed.io expert, and I was not.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
fucking
It was
shit the
very
bed.
obvious
But
that he wasn't.
but there
Yeah,
was a
we
few
actually met.
moments there where you guys you'd ask me some question, or your partner would ask me some question or something. I'd be like, "What the fuck does that mean?" So then I'd flip it over, and it'd be like, "So
Yeah.
what would you guys say is your priority here?"
Yeah.
I would
No, yeah. You
just
gotta,
get
you gotta tell me, like,
PTSD from that, man.
just what do you mean? Like, what do you mean is such a good question. Like, if you don't have, that's gonna buy you so much. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. But
That's
you have to
such
do
a
it in
good
such a way
question.
where like you seem genuinely confused, as if they're the weird ones. You're like, "What
Yeah.
do you mean by that?" Or
Either
"What do you mean by
genuinely
that?"
confused or like a child.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Like you're patting your little nephew on the head. They're like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean by that, little guy?"
Yeah. Or like the child's like, why do we put this like dishes away? Because we have to. Why do we have to? Because we want
Why?
to keep it clean. Like, why do we need to keep it? It's like that kind
Yeah,
of crap.
yeah.
And then like, I don't like any formulas. The objections are, if you've done like 10 calls, you're gonna know what the objections are realistically, and you're gonna be prepared for them. But what's atrocious to me is the follow up with a lot of my mastermind clients here and just everyone. Like, how often do you follow up? I either like I don't follow up or like once, and then if they're not like, you follow up the first 3 days after every day, and then like 4 times the next week, and then like twice a week for like 3 months at least, and then you recycle them back to marketing. And like they're like, oh, and then what do I even say? Like, I don't know, like good tips or case studies. Like, what else are you gonna really say? And then like, so that is like sales process that you make it as easy as possible. They're going to be pre-framed through like your founder's content, hopefully through like retargeting ads, through email flows, through all the above. So the nice thing about it is like, they want this. They know the price on the Calendly. Like, I always recommend putting the price on there because there's just no point in getting on the phone with someone who isn't okay with the price.
Yeah, it's
Like,
weird how so many people make it the elephant in the room. It's
oh
like, well,
yeah,
you
like,
both know why we're here, so let's
yeah,
just cut the bullshit.
this mastermind costs 30,000 a year. Like, if you don't have 30,000 or you can't, or don't just like, don't think that's fair, you don't want to pay it. Like, there is literally, I don't want to talk to you. So like, I just have it on the form. And it's just like, okay, they know the price. They're pre-framed. They hopefully you've watched a lot of content, seen a lot of retargeting ads, read a bunch of emails. Like, you're setting up for success. You're transferring their authority for that statement to them. They're in control because they're asking the questions, and they have a sales presentation that you made that gives them the facts. Hopefully has the, objection prevention, even better than objection handling, built in. And then they just ask a bunch of questions in that thing and try to get to the bottom of it, then follow up. It's literally not that hard, but we need to have a process to stick someone in, or else they're going to fail. Like, many closers have failed because I didn't set them up properly, is what I'm saying. And I'm trying with my mastermind, because we help systems and agencies over 500K or just any B2B business. Like, we need to have a system here, or else it's not going to work properly. And the nice thing about the system is you can compare, like, everyone's doing the same thing, so you can compare closers to each other, like see who's good and who's not. But also, like, if there's something that's like a pattern, like, you can identify it and fix it, as opposed to just letting 5 different closers do whatever they want, and you're not going to know like what's going on.
Yeah.
So, and then basically that is my tip. We got to make a sales process like I said there.
Cool.
Because we need to free up some time.
Yep.
I've been like arguing on the phone for 2 days with this. So like,
Oh boy, we really have to free up some time, Matt.
Yeah, we got to free up some time.
Yeah, no, I do feel you. I find it interesting how many people start looking for that stuff before they need it, and then conversely, how some people will not look for it, like when it's abundantly
they never look for it at the right time.
Yeah,
Literally, it's like fast money. It's like getting a crypto pump.
Mhm.
No one does the right thing.
No one does the peak, right?
So,
Yeah.
no one does the right thing with fast money. No one looks for a closer when they actually need it.
You know what I found really interesting about your point? You were like, anybody that does 10 calls will know what the objections are.
Yeah,
It's
like
crazy
sugar.
because, right now, most of my products are geared towards beginners and people that are just getting started with sales in general. And it's crazy to me, like how long the list of questions about what a call, like what should I do on the call? What if somebody says this? What if somebody says that? Like just how crazy all of these questions are and how simply they'll be answered, honestly, if you just get on 5 to 10 calls that you're not entirely
Yeah, yeah.
prepared for. Like you figure it out extraordinarily quickly. Like these sales calls are just permutations of one another. All the objections are the same. There's like 5 objections, right? I think I even remember you writing about them.
Yeah, there's like five universal objections and then like five specific ones. Like
Weird how
universal ones,
5 is always the number. Huh?
yeah, universal ones like will this work for me? Like I'm from e-commerce. Like all my agencies that I were actually successful in e-commerce. So like, will this product work for my niche? And like even like, yes, it will. Like it will work, but you got to like
Yes.
answer it right. So it's like I could see this working for supplements, but will it work for my like bedding or something? And then like, will this work in my country? I could see this working in America, but my country is different, which is probably not that true, but like still probably is a little true. And then like, will this work for my product? Like, it's crazy to me, my time in e-commerce. Like, you'd show like, let's say they're selling collagen, and then you show them 5 case studies of people you helped selling collagen. Be like, no, but that's not my collagen. And it's just like, I'm just
Yeah,
like,
like mine is beta peptide
I'm
3GY.
literally like on the call, like radio, and then I just like go and just like go bounce back to it. And then there's going to be some other objections, but realistically, some good advice I got when I made my first VSL, which was not that long ago, because like when I first started, you didn't really do that as well to the same degree. It's like you just have all of you spend like 20 calls or whatever, 10 calls, like I said before. You write down all the objections, and then you like watch the recording and see which one like got the most. So let's just say objection number 7 got the most. In your VSL, you like present your offer, you say it's who it's for, and then you go through these objections, right? Like, and then in the order of how often or how important they are, and then you have a call to action. It's not that difficult, right? So it's just like, but at the same time, if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Only one way to
What?
find out. I
Yeah.
mean,
What
nothing's
is?
going to be that difficult to you. You made 900K a month.
Yeah, but if you don't know, you don't know. And I didn't know a lot of stuff. Like at my agency, like a good example, I never sent a cold email in my life before my last agency. So I joined this program to like show me, right? And I was spending $7,000 per day on ads, getting about 125, maybe, let's just say 100 to 125 clients per month through ads and through content and through partnerships. And it took me 60 days to get my first call with cold email because I was so bad at it.
Yeah.
And I was like way too cocky about it too. Like my agency's already at 300 some K a month. I'm the man, you know? And then it's just like, you're not the man in the context of sending cold emails that get responses and book calls at least. So, you know, I try to be empathetic because I do stupid shit all the time. So if you don't know, you don't know. So that's why we're here, right?
You don't know, you don't know.
That's why this mastermind exists. That's why you pay consultants or buy courses or do whatever. So
Agreed.
do you remember your first sales call ever?
First sales call ever. No, I remember I used to go door to door. You ever go door to door?
I never went door to door. No,
Man, door to door is oof. That puts you on your ass. You want to talk humility? You
really?
are like
Yeah.
nothing when you go into a business fucking selling local Google My Business marketing services for $200 a month. You are nothing, Matt. You're like, please don't hurt me. Can I have your credit card? Like, it's the
Right.
most humbling experience of my life. But yeah, I do remember my first day. I remember being so nervous that like I had to hold my breath because every time I would breathe in or breathe out, my teeth would chatter. Like it was crazy.
So,
I had a problem.
right.
Thank God I had somebody
Your
else.
teeth would chatter. My
Yeah,
goodness.
dude, it was nuts, man. I've never been that nervous before in my life. I felt so ridiculously out of place. I wanted to die. I felt
Did
this
you?
is what a lot of people describe as I don't know if I was having like a panic attack or whatever the hell you want to call it, But like I honestly was just so like weak in that moment. I felt like I could have disappeared. And the second one was pretty similar. Third one, pretty similar, but it was just that 1% better every day. And then eventually I scaled up to where I was doing between 50 to 80 of these a day over the course of like an 8-hour sequence. And yeah, honestly,
You get just get numb. Then it's just
dude,
how it is.
after a week, totally fine. Yeah.
I've made 2 cold calls in my life and then gave up. This is when I was much younger, and I just like if you know it, like if you just can run ads and stuff and like
yeah, you don't
make
need
content,
to.
you don't need to cold call. But I was calling chiropractors because I just no thought behind it. I'm like, well, chiropractors have a phone, right?
That's where the logic stopped.
And like, I think I'm like basically almost had a heart attack the first time someone like picked up. Like I actually like was out of breath after the call that lasted 5 seconds. No, we're not interested. Okay, perfect. And then I just gave up. Not
You're
very
like, fuck this. I'm learning
when the
ads.
going gets tough, we quit around here. But
Dude,
so
let
like,
me tell you,
yeah,
it's probably for the better that you didn't. You know, the way that I think about my like early sales careers, I'm extremely thankful that I had it and I built the humility and like the social skills, honestly, to be able to survive in that world, which is really tough because every world that I've entered since then has been a lot easier. That's number
good.
one. But number two is like I think of myself. You ever play RuneScape back when you were a kid,
Oh yeah,
or
I
like
had like
Minecraft?
2,000 plus. No, runes. I had 200 days on my
Jesus,
RuneScape
man.
character.
I was probably right there with you.
When I
But
was like, yeah, 8
you know how
years
you could
old, maybe.
mine, and you know, like Minecraft probably makes more sense for you know the younger people. But you know how you could mine like ore, but you could do so with different pickaxes. You had like the bronze pickaxe, the wooden
Yes, of
pickaxe.
course.
I felt like me doing the cold calling and door to door. That was me mining with like a fucking bronze pickaxe the whole time.
Yeah,
Whereas had somebody like Matthew Larsen entered my life a little bit earlier, probably would have known what the fuck are you doing? Run ads or something. And that's like
yeah,
gifting me the blue one, the rune pickaxe. I probably would have
right.
done everything in my life 100 times faster.
But you got to do outreach, and that's the form of outreach first because you don't know enough to make content. You don't have money for
Yeah.
ads,
Yeah,
and
for
no
sure. You
one
don't know
would
how to be
ever
valuable.
partner with you. So like, I remember my first like I differentiate my first sales close like my first like 10 like basically gifted to me by like family friends because I had this like posting on social media like I was my very first like money online like I was in high school and this is when like you would just actually start posting on like Facebook even for business.
Yeah.
So my first like 8 or so clients were like just gifted to me through like nepotism.
This
I
is back
like
in high
had to
school? Dude, that's
yeah, I was
nuts.
11th grade. I was like
Wow.
I was like explaining to them and I could do it, but it was like I knew them my whole life and it was like
Right.
$200 a month and they probably didn't even give a shit most of them. They just wanted to like
Right.
help me out. But I remember the first time I closed someone like that I didn't know, like cold, you know, like and I don't know how they found me at this point, but it was like a rush, dude. I like literally like went and just like drove in my car and like put the music on and like just drove around the city. I was like
Mhm.
sickest guy ever. 250 a month Canadian.
Dude, we
It
all got
was
stories like that, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember
it was sick.
closing a $50 a month furniture store.
Really.
$50 a month, man.
What do you even
It
do
was
for
like
50?
born again. Amazing.
Yeah. It's a lot of money back then. Like unironically, I was making like 20K a month when I was 20, let's say.
Yeah.
That'd be like making like 75K now. Like
I guess inflation, yeah.
back when like even 7 or 8 years ago, like I feel like it'd be like very strange to meet someone making like 250K a year
Yeah,
or like uncommon.
honestly.
And
You
now
know what
like,
it's like? It's like, if you've seen Wolf of Wall Street,
yes, of
it's
course.
like when, yeah, it's like when Leo and Jonah Hill meet for the first time, right? And Jonah Hill's like, what the fuck you just say?
Yeah,
$50,000? Show me your pay stub.
70,000.
Yeah,
And that was in like the
70,000.
80s. That'd be like 500,000 a month
500.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
That'd be like
But
Matthew Larsen walking into my diner.
yeah, it'd be crazy. But yeah, like if you don't know, you don't know,
True.
right? So
I could tell you
you
want to
can
move
charge
on, Matt.
more.
So I will
Yeah.
give us the
So
offer.
let's get the off ramp here and let's move on to your amazing.
Busy man's got a lot to do. Okay.
Yeah, we got places to
Um,
be at 8:48 p.m. Middle of the week.
we're hashtag grinding right now. Yeah. So for mine, it's nowhere near as cool and probably as long as yours, but my tip of the week, my actionable, is to take $100. Most supplies at whatever revenue level you are, however much money you're making. $100 maybe at like the lower end, $1,000, $10,000 the higher end. But take a little bit of money
Mhm.
right now, whatever's comfortable, and then spend it on purposefully designing your environment to make your life a little bit better. If
Mhm.
it's the first time that you've like specifically tried to design your environment, the $100 or $1,000 you spend will probably improve your productivity like 20, 30, 40%. One of the biggest and lowest hanging fruit that I see in a lot of the people in my communities, keep in mind the vast majority of the people in my communities are sort of near the starting line of their business. They're making between, 0 and 10K a month or 10 and 20K a month. You have some people like 50, 70, 80K, but like this is still very much the start line of their business. You would be surprised at the number of people that just live and operate in environments that are just actively fucking damaging on a daily basis, that just suck constantly. These are environments that are like super, super noisy, super cluttered, super distracting. They have, I don't know, just constantly things begging for their attention 24/7. They have very poor diets, shitty furniture. They don't have space to work. They don't get enough light. These are all extraordinarily low hanging fruit, to be completely honest. And the reality is, like, if you're capable of operating in a shitty environment, if you just spend a few $100s touching up that environment, you'll be capable of operating like 1.5, 2 times better. So I know that sounds pretty vague. I wrote down here a couple of examples to share, and I'll give you like
Like you're
very simple
like a
ones.
bed, like a nice bed or what?
I mean, yeah,
Nice
a
desk
bed,
chair.
nice desk
Like
chair for sure.
nice desk chair and bed. You spend like 20 hours of your day in those two things.
I mean, you spend 20 hours of your day
If
in
you're
those two things.
grinding.
Yeah, yeah. The average person probably spends a lot of their time in those days too, right? They say that you should always spend money on things that separate you from the floor, like your chair, your bed, your shoes. Kind of makes sense,
So
right?
makes
Um,
sense. Yeah. But what do you have in
or,
mind?
or your tires. So, like, a really simple example of this is my posture. I have really shitty posture. I had shitty posture, I should say. It's getting a lot better now. Basically, I fixed my posture almost completely just by adding little spacers under my furniture that cost me like $30. So, to make a long story short, I am 6'2.5".
That's it. Mm,
6'2.5",
mm,
Matt.
mm.
And if you think about it, most things in like that you can buy at stores are typically designed for people just a few inches smaller. Kind of like the average height. So like lumbar support, for instance, is usually a little bit lower, or like chair height and desk height and stuff like that, just a little bit lower. So this 3 or 4 inch difference actually adds up a ton after a while. And if you think about it, like people that are generally taller than the average, they always have to lean over a little bit to get anything done. So they usually start suffering from like back pain pretty early on in their lives. If you ask anybody over 6 feet, like, hey, how's your back? They'll be like, oh, I feel like an 80-year-old man, like unanimous. So
I agree. Yeah.
this is a big, yeah, because you're like 18 feet or some shit. You and LeBron James have a lot in common. But the reason why is because they're always leaning over. So all you do to fix this, like maybe not entirely fix this, but fix a big chunk of it, is literally go on Amazon.com and you buy furniture spacers that are like this big. They're these
Hmm.
little things that go on your furniture. You just stick them under your furniture, and now everything is just a little bit higher. Your desks are a little bit higher. Your stands are a little bit higher. Your chairs, your sofas, your couches, your tables. And so instead of always having to do this, you're just like this. And over the course of about a week or so, my back pain almost completely disappeared. That enabled
Right.
me, if you think about it, to like unlock a big chunk of my energy and my willpower. Because if you're constantly fighting being uncomfortable, like what a limiter to your growth. Do you know what I mean? Like if
It
you have 100%
sucks,
of your
right?
brain power and you spend fucking 10% of it just trying to like not, pay attention to how shitty you feel all the time, like you're not going to be able to get anything done. So I'm basically just substantially more comfortable now. And the good news is I can sit for a lot longer. I can work for a lot longer. I can do the sorts of things in my life that I want to do, like grow my business without the sorts of day-to-day pains like I used to have.
You have a Mac, right?
Yeah, I do. MacBook Pro.
You gotta get the external monitors with like the arms, so you're just staring forward instead of down, like we are at this right Mac right now. You gotta do
Oh
it.
yeah. Well, I'm not looking all the way down. I am looking at a monitor. It's a little bit higher, but I had to kind of make some room for my camera.
Uh-huh.
That's actually a good point. I like that.
What are those expensive chairs? I used to have one, like the Herman something.
Herman, yeah, like the Arrow.
Yeah. I don't have one now. I got like a knockoff, but I
Yeah,
remember
me
when I
too.
got one of those, like it was so much better than what I had before. It was like
Everybody
sitting in a
says that it's worth it, like everybody, but like at the back of both of our minds, Matt, I know, because you're like me, you're like that shit, fucking $2,000 for a chair, like no way,
yeah,
but
like
but for real, it's worth it.
for a time, like it was worth it, but now they're like knockoffs for like 200 that are like the same thing. Because this
Yeah,
one I'm in right now is like probably a Chinese knockoff of it, and you can't really tell the difference.
I'm going to need the link. But moving on, this reminds me a lot of our Rolex conversation.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a pretty funny
Yeah,
conversation.
the Rolex conversation is I have this Rolex, and then my friend got the same one from like whatever he got it from, just like a clone.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I can tell them the difference is like if you look at the serial number, like it's just
literally exact same, but what,
just like
$50,000 less?
Yeah, I'm just like okay, it's like 400 instead of like 55, was it or something? I'm like okay,
Jesus.
perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Especially I have a very nice bed. I spent like $16,000 on my bed.
Spent $16K on your bed, man.
Yeah, it's might be down for a new
easy.
one. I don't know how long they last. Like if they're high quality, but it's been like 6-8 years maybe.
Okay.
I feel like 2018 maybe. So yeah, 7 years.
What's the brand of this bed?
It was custom. It was based off like the Wynn Hotel in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like a bed from the hotel there, or like the same ones that they get, but it's also custom. I think you can get one of those for like 2,500. At least you could at the time, but it's custom, so it's like even bigger than like a California King. Not so much wide, but long, because I'm like 6'6" and my feet like hang off. Like when you get a bigger bed, it doesn't really like necessarily make it that much longer. Usually, it's more wider. So it's a custom bed, and then I was telling my girlfriend that I was going to get her this for Valentine's Day, and she said she's never home, so probably not that good. So I'm going to get myself like hotel, like the Wynn, like bedding,
Yes.
I'm going to get myself
super
for
high
Valentine's.
high thread count, or not the thread count, but
It
soft.
is thread count, but like there's some other, I don't understand it. I'm just going to buy it from same thing you get at like the Wynn, and just make the whole bed that duvet, pillowcases, and like if you could get like a 20% better sleep because you're so comfy. Might make it hard to get out of bed in the morning, but
maybe you'll be more well rested. It'll make you get out of the bed easier. Let's say it was 18K, and you have it for 10 years. It's like $1,800 a year.
yeah. I mean, if you
$1,800 a year is
let's say
150
you
bucks.
let's say
150
it
bucks a month.
made you 5% more money, like
Absolutely, yeah. The ROI is there, right? On like a 200K a month sort of thing, and we're not even counting like the longevity benefits. We're not counting quality of life benefits, which you can't put a price on your quality of life, Matt.
It's true. So, what do you think about like not like your posture, like your desk, but like one thing that I don't know how much I want to admit it, but I like have my studio here that I'm here. I have my lights, my teleprompter, my camera, my Mac, and then my mic. But like once I've done this, I'm heading into my walk-in closet where I have like a desk in there, and I'm going to be working there. I have a monitor. It's like I have a fan for background noise pointed at the wall.
Yeah.
You shut the door, it's pitch black, and that's like I get so distracted from like anything that I can't hear a single thing in there. It's pitch black.
Do I think that it's like, okay, so the way that I always think about it is in terms of our evolutionary environment. And love it or hate it, like, we tended to move around a lot, and we tended to be like out in the sun a lot, and so on and so forth. So do I think that this is like the healthiest sort of thing in terms of how it aligns with like what your body wants? Probably not. But being completely honest with you, do you care about doing the healthiest thing, or do you care about doing the most effective thing?
Well, you just pop 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, and then you'll be good. And then you can
right.
work focus for 12 hours per day. You know what I mean?
But like, if you think about it, the demands we are placing on our bodies right now are so artificial anyway. I mean, like, we did not used to just sit and stare at a screen and type with our fingers and think for 10 hours a day, right? So obviously the environment that we are going to be engaging in that allows us to perform optimally is also going to be very artificial. So do I think what you're doing is wrong? No, I do basically the same thing.
No, but I think it's like, no, I think it's not wrong. I'm saying it's like the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
dude. You're just like locked in.
Dude, 100%. There's no distractions, no nothing. Even literally like this is crazy for me to think about, but the place that I'm in right now is next to a pretty major street. And so if I'm just completely quiet, I can hear ever so slightly the sound of cars go by. It's got to be like 5 decibels or something. It's so barely noticeable, but it's still there. Even stuff like this is impacting my productivity and my ability to focus. It's crazy to think about. But there is some background noise sapping away at your like cognitive power. I'm not going to get all fucking woo-woo with it, but the truth is, like, if you could just shut everything else out except for this, whatever the hell it is that we're looking at or working on or doing, you're going to do better. And, you, Mr. Matt Larsen in the closet. That's one way to do it. So do I think it's bad? No, I actually think it's pretty good.
And then I come out of the closet after I'm done.
You come out of the closet after and you're
After
done.
my work forms, in between work forms.
Like a little,
Man, like I could not fall asleep without a white noise machine anymore. I don't know what that says for my brain and lifestyle, but
dude, I'm earplugs and white noise machine, bro.
I'm
I
never
double
falling
up.
asleep without white. If I don't have one, I put white noise on Spotify playlist and just have my phone next to my bed.
100%. Yeah, which isn't good. But let me
It's
get to
not
my
good.
damn second example, Matt.
Yes.
All right. So the second example is I saved an hour of my day every day by adding an Instagram blocker. I used to use a lot of Instagram, about an hour a day. It was fun, ultimately a giant waste of time. And I just found that my hand would go to my phone all the time. It would be very unconscious. And I would just kind of be like, And the first thing I would do is I would click Instagram and I would check all my friends' reels that they sent me. Instagram is such an amazing app if you think about it, because it hacks so many of the reward centers of the brain. It hacks your desire to socialize because you're chatting with your friends. Hacks your entertainment centers because you're laughing your ass off at funny memes. It's visually stimulating, there's sound. The psychiatrists that developed this thing, I hope they're getting paid a lot of fucking money. They definitely should be. But anyway, I found that over the course of last year, my Instagram usage has gone up to about an hour or so. So I was I kind of want an hour of my day back. I only have 16 that I can actually use to make money and, do other things that I want to do. So that's what, 7% or something? My math's correct.
Of your day?
Yeah, right. So of my waking hours. So 6%, I should say. So, what I ended up doing was I just got myself an Instagram blocker, a little app on my phone. It was $10 a month.
Which app?
Unplug.
No, I got that after you told me to do it.
And then I got the physical little thing too. So if I want to unblock my Instagram, which I've never had to do, luckily, I go and I actually need to find it somewhere. It's in my house. I don't fucking know. But I actually have to tap my phone to it, and that's how I unplug it. But the cool thing about this is just think about the ROI, Matt. If you think about my hourly rate as somebody that's doing this info product stuff, it's probably a few $100s at this point across the 16-hour day. If we're talking about actual work time, the 10-ish hours of those work forms that you're talking about, it's probably at least $500 an hour. So the ROI on me saving $10 a month for 500, to make $500 an hour is crazy. It's not just 50 times, it's 50 times 30. So 1,500 times. It is the dumbest ROI that I could ever solve and add to my, amount today. And these blockers and stuff, I used to think people that use these blockers are people that, I don't know, hid their phones away or put them in their car, pointing fingers at you. I used to think man, these guys really have problems. They really, really have problems. They can't stop looking at their phone and stuff. But just think about it this way. If you put a treat in front of a dog, what is the dog going to do? Of course, the dog is going to eat the treat. Now, what if somehow dogs had little dog pockets and you stuffed a bunch of treats in the fucking dog pocket? Of course, the dogs are going to eat treats more if they have them in their little doggy pockets, right? That's basically what we're doing with the phones. I kept on making this cardinal mistake, which is thinking that I'm some higher enlightened being that couldn't be distracted by my phone and Instagram.
I know I didn't want to tell you, but yeah.
The truth is, I'm not a higher enlightened being. I'm a fucking degenerate animal. Of course, I'm going to do crack, cocaine, I'm going to look at it all the fucking time if I can. So using these tools, that's all they are. They're tools. They're tools to help you consciously and intentionally define the environment so that you don't have other people do it for you. And that's my main takeaway. We're just animals. Our behaviors are dictated by our environment. If you have a universe where you have a treat in front of you every day versus a universe where you don't, in which one are you going to be a little fatter? Obviously, when you have a treat in front of you every day, you can actually control this. And, I think that there are a lot of opportunities for people just to take $100, $200, identify where their time's going, to spend $100 or $200 and then massively improve the quality of their life, whether it's their furniture for their back or, little blockers for their phone or whatever. It's part of my program that we call a lifestyle audit. We do it in week 3.
That's very good. So what do you think about, because in mine, I always tell them this is a different version of what you're saying, but also it's one of the systems that we go over is the information diet system. I heard this, there's a hook on a YouTube video about, I don't remember, it was about content, but it was something other than oxygen, the second most common thing that people consume is content. But when you think about how clean your oxygen or your air is, but most people don't think of how clean their content is.
Yeah.
And I notice like myself, like if I'm just, in the car working out and you listen to like a business podcast or something as opposed to watching like Instagram reels for you, YouTube shorts if you're me, like you're just naturally a lot better. It's like even better than your physical environment, in my opinion, is like don't listen or watch or consume really bad stuff for you. For politics, news, pornography, most social media, 99% of YouTube videos. One of my biggest things was I would because none of these things, well, some of those things are, but you can use these things for like good or bad, but I like would use them for bad, like YouTube, or I'd use them for good like 5% of the time and justify the other 95% of the time. I watch YouTube videos about business when it's like watching like League of Legends videos that I haven't played in like 12 years, but I still watch the videos sometimes. Sometimes still watch RuneScape videos on there, or just like haven't played these games in 12 or like 15 years, but
Call me next time. Call me next. I'm sure I have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You know what the difference is, Matt? The difference is your first 5% was intentional, but the other 95% where you get sucked into watching fucking League of Legends videos or whatever, that's the algorithm winning. Like
I
you
know,
get
I get
on these
wrecked,
platforms
dude.
intentionally to watch your business stuff. You're like, okay, great. And then the business stuff ends and you know what pops up? Autoplay, League of Legends, Bouse videos, whatever the fuck.
Suits short form content. Suits
100%. 100%.
Billions, the TV show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I watch
I can do
Billions
anything with
clips like
Harvey in it.
crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really the difference. And I think that this is a good point just to make more generally, like if you just construct your environment intentionally, like is the stuff that's happening to me like something I decided on? Is it something I constructed? Or is it something that somebody else decided for me? If it's stuff that you decide and construct, ultimately your life will be a lot better because of it.
I use this, I don't know what you would call it. We'll call it a VPN. It's called Focus Me.
Yeah,
Just
I used to use that.
I just block all news, like all keywords, Trump, Biden, Democrat, Republican,
Yeah.
Trudeau, like just block anything.
You gotta block Elon Musk now, apparently.
Yeah, same with sports, because there's, I like to watch football, but I don't need to look at the news throughout the week. And then like one of the good things, like Twitter's a big one for me. Like you get lost in the Twitter algorithm. So what I did and what I do on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, I haven't found a way to do on YouTube, but I'll like block LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter, but I'll whitelist my messages, like the URL for messages, notifications, and my own profile. So like with that setup, you can only go to your own stuff. You can still respond, you can still see notifications, but if you go off of it, it's like just forcibly, it closes the tab for you. Haven't found that a way to do that with YouTube, just because like every video has a unique URL and there's no real like way to do that. But there's a lot of good Chrome extensions you can get to. Like,
yeah, I got one that removes out the YouTube homepage feed.
Yeah,
So
just goes to your subscriptions or whatever. Like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got that one as well. So like, yeah, but just
you have to, man. You have to construct these digital barriers now. Like anybody that doesn't, because they're under the impression, like I was before, that you're some like better person. Like it's just a matter of time. Made sense when I was young, but your mind can only take so much of this barrage before they eventually win.
It's crazy. Like if you use unpluck, like that thing, or like focus me, or like even the child settings, like once you block it, it's like it's mentally gone. You don't even like think about it or like want it anymore.
Yeah,
it's like you just do it just because it's there.
It's just so convenient, right? It's
yeah,
like
just there. Okay, I'm gonna go do this because it's there, and then that's not a possibility anymore. Okay, don't even want to.
Like I think I read this in Atomic Habits, but it's like when you have a video game console under your TV in your living room or something, and like you walk by it all day, every day. So the expectation is like, oh, okay, it's the end of the day. You kick your socks off, kick your feet up, and then like play the video games, right? Like just remove it, and then you'll honestly stop thinking about it a lot of the time. Like if it's not around you, if it doesn't like consciously come across your attention, like the human, like we're really not all that fucking smart, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The stuff in your environment that is near and present and, very easily like noticeable, you're just going to do more often, which is why simple shit like rearranging your desk, rearranging your furniture, putting spacers around, blocking Instagram pages or YouTube home feeds and shit like that can make a big difference. Anyway, I feel like I'm becoming a fucking motivational speaker at this point.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me. So,
All right, Matt,
do the last one for today.
What are we doing for the last one here, buddy?
I'll do it for today. I know.
You gonna do it for today? Are you sure you don't want to flip a coin?
No, I don't
Come
think you
on.
have something ready. No,
Let's flip a coin.
Okay, but I'm gonna win. So flip the coin.
Okay. We're gonna do this thing in the podcast because it's supposed to be 5, and it's me and Matt. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So one of us has to do 3.
If we ever get a guest on here, they can do the 5th one.
But basically, what we're gonna do instead, we're gonna make it all exciting and special to Game of Chance. We're gonna flip this coin. Can you guys see this? Can you see this thing? Is that even?
You can't really see.
This is like a Mexican
blurry
coin of some kind. It's like a peso or something. I honestly don't know.
Let's
But
just
on
flip the
one
coin.
side is the sun god.
Okay,
So
that
this
would
is
be me.
heads. Okay.
Sun god would be me.
And heads is going to be you. Exactly. And then on the other side is
the moon god.
a fucking eagle just tearing into a snake, bro.
Some esoteric symbolism right there.
So we're going to flip this over, and then I'm going to put this on my hand, and then if it's heads, Matt will go. And then if it's the eagle, then Matt will also go because I didn't prepare one.
But normally, in the future, theoretically, right?
Dude, and guess what? We got I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's the sun god. So rest assured, man, you would have won regardless. Hit us with that actionable. What do you got?
It's destiny. It's destiny. So the last one for today is something that I didn't understand. And it seems no one else understands either. Because you're most people that buy whatever from you, heavily skewed towards the start of their career, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of like the opposite. Like a lot of people don't buy anything from me unless they're doing 500K. The average is going to be 1 to 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're trying to tell them and teach them is a lot different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going back to the processes. And in my mastermind, I have so many members, and obviously it's my mastermind. They come from content. So I've literally closed every single person except one. And the one people I didn't close were, and this is new, so I'm still thinking about all the people I didn't close, as opposed to if this is 2 years from now, yeah, who cares? Or I wouldn't even remember. But it's just, this reminded me of this point, and then I also take it from this lesson and applied it to everyone I'm consulting with. So they were telling me, and it was two, I don't know, they both had gray or white hair. They were probably 50s and their 60s. I don't know.
Gray and white hair, man.
I know. Okay, but fully, and they were just saying they're talking about lead gen, and that was their biggest problem right now. Of so I usually say the 5 things that lead to success: lead gen, operations, employee hiring and training, or systems and automations, and then personal optimization, behavior change, that kind of stuff. So theirs was lead gen, only. They kind of had the other ones. You could argue they didn't have behavior, proper behavior, but whatever. So they were I was asking them about their lead gen questions, asking them the 5 questions, obviously, that I said earlier. And it was just the thing, and I'm not trashing them. I actually kind of like them. But it's just we hired this university student, for university graduate, and she just couldn't get our marketing off the ground or whatever. And they have a $10 million business, but it's not an online business, a real world business, manufacturing. So it's kind of different than what I'm normally to deal with. It would have been just fine anyway, but different. And it just reminds me that the expectations of people, and including my past self, are kind of wild. It's just they said, they just in what situation would you, if you took a step back from it, logically think about it, what situation would a 22-year-old, presumably, college graduate who's just starting her probably first job, sort out your paid ad funnel and your content and your outreach and your sales process for you? People that's kind of probably a common thought. Okay, that appointment setter couldn't figure it out, or our ad guy couldn't figure it out. But that's just a crazy, I would say, delusion for a lot of people. Doing something figuring out an offer or figuring out a paid ad funnel is a job for a C-suite person, not some random person that just started. That's like something a CMO or the equivalent would be if there's an early stage, probably the founder would do. It's like asking your first closer from the example before yours, like to figure out your sales process for you. Like these people don't know anything about your offer. They probably don't know how to do ads. They don't know how to do any of these things, close people. And it's just actually like a crazy expectation. And a lot of people like who are beginners, this is not really going to apply to you, but for people who are in the especially $1 to $3 million per year range, because that's where that's like the transition period depending on the business between you and just like your own skills, and now you have to build a team. And of my like 7 or so clients that are in their sales process that I'm doing now, like 80% of them said they don't have an appointment anymore because they were just trash. They couldn't figure it out. Doing anything in your business, building the product, figuring out how to market is the job of the founder. And I think the lesson is like, I don't know if it's not taking responsibility or just like not understanding how the world works, but no matter what, like if you're a solo founder, you're going to have to figure out the product yourself. And then when you figure it out, you can hire and train or delegate people to deliver the product. If it's a service, I guess, or if it was physical, you design the product, presumably. Then you're going to have to figure out how to write and send and do all the cold emails that actually get responses. And then you can hire someone to watch the inboxes and do what you did. You're going to have to make the ads and put yourself in the ads and make the landing page and risk the ad spend to figure out if it works or not, because And then it's just like, even like you hear a lot of this stuff and I know what they mean and I like think that way too, but I hate when people say like, you tell them to do something or you suggest something rather, and it's like, oh, that's just like a low leverage task. Like, and then it's just like, bro, like a small business, if you go by like the banking and government standard, is 0 to 40 million per year. That's a small business. Medium, I think, is 40 to 2 billion maybe.
Right.
And then a big business is 2 billion and much. Like, you are a small business. I know like a lot of people, I do like 50K per month with my agency and they're like hyped. Like, you haven't even really started yet. So you have like literally no leverage. If you go back to that Naval Ravikant, I don't know if you read that blog post,
Yeah,
like the
I
4
did.
types of leverage. You got your media, your capital, your labor, and your code. You have like none of that realistically. Like if you're going to think of it in just purely in terms of that blog post, like you don't have if you have to sit at your computer and DM people on Twitter or LinkedIn to find out what works for 3 months, like, and that's how you get clients, then that's what you do. Like, if you need to waste 100,000 in ads before it works, then that's what you do. So a lot of people try to copy one of my ad funnels that I used to run, which was, it was 100 Webflow templates for $97, which is pretty good for me because 2.1% of people who would buy these, because my main service was landing pages, 2.1% of these people who buy these would convert to an actual done for you service. So it made a lot of sense. And then you're like, so I was basically, and it started like 3 Webflow templates for $10. Like, you can always tell the story afterwards and it sounds like I just did this, but I started at 3 Webflow templates for $10 and then like progressively added more. And I actually had 500 Webflow templates for $100. And I spent like, I think 25K making the extra 400, but it didn't really matter for the conversion rate. But the
Oh
story
God,
was
that's annoying.
the story was like, I lost $60,000 on this funnel before I ever like made any money from it. You know what I mean? So you're like in this situation, hiring that person to figure out your ads, they're not gonna be able to. And I'm a talented, I would say, advertiser, top 1% for sure. So like someone and expecting your employees to figure it out for you, or just your ads guy. You hear that a lot. Oh, we had this ads guy. He was an idiot. He just like wasted our money, and you like fired him after like 2 months because he just idiot. Like, again, like a lot of these things are probably true. He probably was an idiot, but at the same time, like your offer is whack. You don't show up in search results at all. You don't have any third party reviews. You don't have any YouTube videos or a VSL. You don't even contact the leads. Because I remember early in my career, I wouldn't call it an agency, like freelancing. I was doing lead gen with Facebook ads, and then I got fired most of the time because people didn't even contact the leads. And they're like, okay, we're not getting any sales. So they're not even
You
contacting
mean?
the leads. If they're on the phone, then they probably suck at sales, and then
Yeah.
their pricing's probably too low.
Yeah.
So it's just like none of this works in a vacuum, and expecting anyone to figure it out for you is unrealistic and really stops you at the $1 to $3 million per year mark.
Yeah.
An example of this is I always had some negative self-talk, maybe not like crazy negative, but like I just like, oh, I'm not really an operations guy type thing. And I really thought that even when I was doing operations successfully with about 75 people at the company, like mostly successfully. It wasn't always that good.
I'm glad you
But
brought it up.
but the time, like I never was so confident in how good I am at operations until I started consulting
With other people.
agency owners. I'm like,
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Like,
I
man,
just like
same thing.
just like how many clients do you have? I don't know. I'm like, how many? Okay, like how many employees do you have? Like I've asked quite like more than one. Like I would say between 3, maybe 4 people, how many employees they have, and they don't know how many employees or contractors they have. And this is in like the last couple of months. I'm just like, fuck me. Okay, like what is your CAC? I don't know. Like you just don't know any of these things. Like, so what is your system for managing employees? Or like if your employee's not working, how do you like solve that? Do you have any like what's your operations look like? They just like stare at you blankly. And it's just like I'm saying like a lot here, but all of these things are going to be very low leverage, and you might get something like a big ad funnel that's high leverage, and it traps you into thinking like, oh, this is high leverage, like this is sick. But you're not going to survive with just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of these things. You have to have everything if you're going to break through to get even a medium-sized business, $40 million a year.
Right.
Not that I've ever had a $40 million per year business. The most I ever had was 16. But I feel like if I was a newsletter, like holding company of like financial newsletters. But I feel like once you get all of this stuff down, like 26-ish systems, like I'm sure there's condensed some, but once you get all of your systems down, let's say that you figured out, then like it's just a matter of doing more and more of the same. And then when that stops working, like improving what you already have.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like I was on a call today where they're saying what's your cost per call? It was like $30. And what's your close rate? Like 1 in 6 or something. So it's like $180 per call, right? It's like, I was like, well, should we just be doing more like ad spend then? He's like, yeah, that's what someone else told me too. And I was like, well, yeah, like, and usually the answer is that simple. Once you figure it out, you hire someone to just sit there and you just do more of it while you figure out the next system. And then you just keep doing that. And then one of these things will always be like your constraint, right?
Yeah.
And then you just figure it out. And then every time you add one of these systems, I always try to tell people, it's part of my sales pitch. Like every system you add is like it's like leveling up your business. Now your floor is higher and your ceiling's higher, and that's going to be permanent. Like if you just,
Where did you get this notion of constraints, by the way? Is this just something that you knew? Did you learn in a video?
Constraints. It's in a lot
because
of
I talk a lot
business
about it in my
books.
program. There's this book out there from Eli Goldratt called The Theory of Constraints. I think it kind of brought up
I
the
think
whole
I might
idea
have
behind them.
read that book.
Yeah.
My favorite management consultant type person is Peter Drucker. I think he's dead for a long time now. I don't know. But
does that undermine the value of his?
No, it makes it better. But he, like, I'm just saying he doesn't have a YouTube channel.
Oh, gotcha.
So like his.
Hey, maybe
like,
he does. Who knows?
He was like, he talks, I'm pretty sure, heavily about like solving the constraints. And then one of my favorite quotes of his that relates to this topic about like leverage and everything is like, there is nothing more useless than doing efficiently that which should not be done at all.
Yes.
Yes,
like, man.
That's like his. If you heard that quote, that's like his like famous.
I have
quote.
And the same concept is repeated multiple times in Eli Goldratt's Theory of Constraints.
Yeah.
Like efficiency should not be the standard that we aim to achieve. It should be effectiveness, right?
I know.
Why do
It's
we
like
care about efficiency?
it's like you with your with your offers. You just have screwing around with these low ticket offers, and then
Yeah, yeah, I know.
oh, it doesn't scale. Like,
Yeah, I
okay,
know, I know. I don't really care about scaling. We had a good conversation about this, but one thing that I didn't mention was, you were saying low leverage. You're a small freaking business, for Christ's sake, for $40 million a year until you're a medium-sized business. Sam Altman has this blog. I don't know if you've read through Sam Altman's blog. I found so much value in it a couple years ago because, he was like, I think the
like the
president.
like his YC version, or
Yeah, his
his
YC version. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
And one of the big things that he continues to say is like one of the tenets of YC is to do things that don't scale, right? Those are the things that you should be doing. You should be doing the things that
yeah,
don't scale as a founder, especially initially. So we're not really like an Uber style unicorn. We're here. We're offering consulting and coaching services, very different sort of business model. But I think you can apply a similar approach. People are so afraid to do the things that don't scale, myself included from time to time. And it's silly because it's like, what the hell else are you doing with the 10 hours of work form time you have a day?
exactly. Like I'm trying to get. So I have this conversation with multiple people, but it's just like the whole one-on-one, because my thing is one-on-one that I just launched.
Yeah.
Like, but that doesn't it's going to cap out at some point. It doesn't scale, right? Because there's only one of you, and they're like buying for you, and they want to work with you, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, I'll worry about if it scales or not when I'm like at 100 people and have like 500K a month MRR, and then we can figure it out. We don't need to worry about that at 0 members when I'm having
Yeah,
these
you'll solve
conversations.
that then for sure. For sure.
Like setting it yourself up would be good, but like, bro, you make like 15K revenue a month between 2 partners. Like,
Right. I feel you. Yeah. Don't let that
with an
stop you,
employee,
essentially.
like
Yeah.
you have bigger problems than trying to scale right now.
Another thing I really like is the whole just like say yes, accept it, and then figure it out when you're there. Grant Cardone talked a lot about this. One of his books, I forget which one it was, but it's basically just like accept things, even if they seem kind of silly and ridiculous, if they add to your bottom line, because the pressure of having them accepted sort of feeds into my social shame idea earlier, will inevitably have you sort them out. Like, for instance, you talked about slippage earlier, right? When you do
Mhm.
get 100 coaching
Yeah.
clients and you have 500K a month coming in, and you're doing that many one-on-ones, you'll be in a much better position to solve the problem than you are right now. Like technically, you'll
Yes,
be a
I'll
little
have
bit more
people
time
to
constrained.
organize stuff behind the scenes. I'll have
Yeah,
sales reps. I wouldn't be taking sales calls anymore. I'll have
yeah,
people
exactly.
to help me with the YouTube and the ads, and then I would
Yeah,
just be
you
doing
need
that.
somebody to help you with YouTube, buddy.
Yeah, I know this. I'm getting wrecked by you. I'm going to lose this bet. We have a bet who's going to get to 100,000 first, and we start at the same time, and it's not going well for me.
All right.
We're gonna have to buy subscribers.
Yeah, I think
But
the prize was an all paid expenses trip to the Maldives, right? 2 weeks.
yeah, Maldives, yeah.
I don't even know how to pronounce them. Maybe I shouldn't be
Yeah.
fucking throwing them in our bet.
But but we're going together, just us. Literally.
For my hottest bikini for you, Matt.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, buddy.
So
Is
that's about
that
it
it
for
for
today.
podcast?
Those are all 5 things today. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think
dude.
that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, me too, man. Listen, I thought for a first podcast was pretty solid. Ended up being, I guess, what, an hour and a half in total, something like that. Anyway, I'll check it afterwards when I put the pieces together. We don't have a fancy outro or anything like that. I just want to say that that's it for the 5. Really appreciate you guys joining us, and we hope you enjoyed our first episode. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, feel free to drop them down below. Otherwise, looking forward to seeing you guys next time.